Item number 5.
Item number 5, comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Why don't we start with Commissioner Vanderworth today?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, this is our last board meeting before we celebrate our Christmas holiday, our holidays this season. So I'd like to start with wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holiday, and a Happy New Year. And I just want to assure everybody, 2021 will be a better time. Have faith, stay safe, seek the help of your family and friends if you are in need, because they're there to help you. I'd also like to take this time, if you might, in your own way and at your own time, please pray for those that we have lost. This has been an exceptionally difficult year, and we all know that. And I'm very sad to say that a close friend of mine, just this last weekend, lost his son to suicide. And this gentleman had been suffering from depression, but just recently lost his job because his business closed. For so many of us, this is personal, and that breaks my heart for my friend. Now, as you all know, over the weekend, you might have read the Gazette article. Several of us leaders over the weekend sent a letter to the governor appealing to him to let us open our restaurants and other related companies. People need those jobs. The business owners need their businesses to be open. And the science that I read does not tell me that we are getting outbreaks from restaurants and similar places. So today, once again, to continue many times over, I appeal to the governor. Please follow, please accept the recommendations in that letter, signed by Commissioner Waller on behalf of the county, but signed by so many other leaders in our community, including other municipalities and other companies that work in economic development. Please accept that letter. Please let us open restaurants. And if for nothing else, just let us move a section of our industry that has not been the cause of coronavirus spread. Let that section of the section of those industries at least move to orange so that these places can open so that they can survive. I appeal once more to the governor, please do this. We need you to do this, sir. Thank you. May God bless everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Good morning, and thank you for having us here. I agree with 100% of what Commissioner Vanderworth said. At this season of Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, I know that my prayers have turned toward my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, his mercy and his grace. I do ask that he blesses our small businesses, especially in the coming year, the people associated with them. I ask that he bless the restaurant owners and all of the restaurant workers who tend to be not the wealthy in our community, but the ones who are working their way through college or trying to just make ends meet. I ask for their safety and their protection this Christmas, and I sure hope that they can get through Christmas this year. But finally, I would renew the plea with Governor Polis to please soften your heart and please understand all of the people in our small business community who are suffering so greatly. Please understand that it is time to allow our restaurants to open, to allow them to be able to pursue their dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by running a restaurant. And I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and let's hope for a wonderful, Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is going to sound a little bit like an echo chamber today, but your county commissioners are all on the same page here. You know, I want to add on to Pastor Winger's invocation a little bit and just say that in a world, in a year where I think all of us have felt the weight of the world on our shoulders, and many of our managers and business owners, everybody has felt the weight of the world on their shoulders this year. And I am also just very grateful that the government doesn't rest on our shoulders. It rests on, as Commissioner Williams said, my Savior's shoulders. And this season is a reminder of that to me. I am so very, very proud of the lights that shine in our communities in various ways, the ways the community is coming together to do what's helping out those that are struggling, what's helping out our small business community, particularly the restaurants, and just continue to shine that light. And we will continue to try to shine a light here from the County Commission on your behalf, again, appealing to the governor to consider a very reasonable ask that we made in pulling back the dial. And I wanted to point out that there were many organizations and people that signed that letter. And I wanted to point out that among those was our chairman of the Board of Health, Dr. Turbush. And I think that's significant, and it's indicative of where we are as a community, that we understand we understand what we're asking, and there is a lot of data and science behind what we are asking for. So we will continue to carry that banner forth. And then I also wanted to say thank you. I know we had a send off and a roasting of Commissioner Waller last week, but I want our community to also realize that that he has continued to lead when it would have been easy for him to sit back and not do so. He has, and I would say even the last 2 weeks have maybe been some of the tougher ones, to make tough, difficult decisions for this community. And he has continued to do that, to be present. And he's here at his last meeting today. So I just wanted to thank him again for his service in a very different way. Merry Christmas to all, and we will see you renewed in 2021.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a most blessed holiday season. God bless to all our residents. I too appreciate all the comments given by my fellow commissioners as well, and agree. And to how it relates to the letter signed by our local leaders, Commissioner Waller, thank you for that, and is supported by me, especially as it relates to the 5-star proposal and concerns I have. I do have some concerns, or grave concerns, about the finalized, greatly revised and changed 5-star program proposal from the state. If 5-star is the only way forward to reopen businesses, reopen some of our restaurants to indoor, then we should consider looking at its immediate implementation so we can help save our local businesses. But this program is not the same as the program implemented as a test in another Colorado county, as previously implemented and described by CDPHE and the governor. In fact, it's greatly changed, and it appears that the input received by the state, by our local governments and businesses, have been largely ignored by the state. Leadership at CCI and the Municipal League, healthcare and restaurant industry, and other leaders, all statewide organizations, wrote to the governor about this just this past week. And they indicate the state hasn't listened to our local governments and experts in that letter that they themselves, statewide organizations, sent to the governor. Additionally, there are miles of new red tape and bureaucracy. new costs for businesses that are already on the verge of failing because of the governor's shutdowns, new costs for those who administer the program. Our estimates making implementation, administration, and inspections at approximately $500,000, I believe. These are new unfunded mandates and bureaucracy from the state, which do nothing but grow government at the expense of actually helping our businesses and working families. In the end, my concern is the 5-star program appears more an effort to give false hope to restaurants and businesses to keep them compliant to the governor's restrictions and mandates for the short term, rather than a true roadmap for reopening. Our businesses and working families deserve more, and I request the governor immediately allow decision-making to local governments and allow restaurants to reopen to indoor capacities and return additional opening decision-making powers to local governments, as it always should have been, and to our public health experts locally, especially as local health data indicates restaurants have not been the cause of the COVID case increases and spikes. Our small businesses and our families should not be punished for simply wanting to work and put food on their table. So again, as we go into the end of the year, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I've got several comments to make today, and one of them I've been struggling with. I'm a bit hesitant to decide whether or not I wanted to mention one of the issues and struggles that's going on in my life right now, but I think it's appropriate to do so. My folks live in Illinois, in rural Illinois, and my dad, actually both of them, a few weeks ago contracted COVID, and my dad's really been struggling with it. He's in a very high risk category, and I'm fearful. I'm fearful every single day for his safety and for what's going to happen to him, because this is a real and significant issue. And if you don't believe it's not, it is. Maybe it hasn't impacted your life, but it's impacted a tremendous number of people in this country and across the entire planet. It is definitely real. But and please say a prayer for my folks. My mom's doing her level best to take care of him, but it's hard, when you get a little bit older. They don't want to go to the hospital because my dad's fearful that he's not going to get to see anybody again if he ends up in the hospital with this, and that he's not going to be able to spend time with the people that love him. So please say a prayer for my family, say a prayer for my dad, say a prayer for my mom, and for all of us that are dealing with this right now. But I got to tell you, while we're struggling with that, and while it is a significant concern of mine, at some point the cure becomes worse than the disease. And I think that's where we are in today's world. I signed that letter knowing my dad's struggling, knowing that this is a real issue and a real crisis for our nation. But we need to get our small businesses open. We need to have our restaurateurs out there doing what they need to do to be able to provide a living for their families. It's crucially important. We need our institutions, our religious institutions, open for the very mental health reasons that Commissioner Vanderworth talked about earlier. The biggest struggle I've had during this whole crisis is that we have one person in our state making the decisions, unilaterally making the decisions. That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate in our form of governance. And it's not appropriate from a practical standpoint, because here we have this guy, Governor Polis. He's a rich guy, and no knock on that at all. I'm happy that he's been able to make a tremendous amount of money and never have to worry about financial issues in his life. But the problem is he doesn't have and understand the perspective of those other people who aren't afforded the luxuries that he has in his life. And based on his decision making, we've had a lot of our small business owners out there, and restaurateurs in particular, are left with two very poor choices. Either they choose to go along with the governor's orders, and go out of business, and they're not able to put food on the table for their family and the people who depend on them's families, or they work in contravention of the governor's orders, and in the course of working in the contravention of the governor's orders, risk having their business licenses revoked, or worse, risk having some sort of liability issues come forward. I think that we were all initially excited about the possibility of having some sort of program come out that enabled us to open our restaurants up. And maybe if it looked like the program in Mesa County, we would have all been excited to sign on to it. But, our governor just doesn't get it, just doesn't understand putting burdens on our businesses that are far more costly than the benefit that they're going to get out of it is. And so we're left with a circumstance where our businesses, even if we were to pass that program, they would still remain closed because it's just not cost effective for them to open. I want to give a recognition to our Chamber of Commerce. They're the ones that took this task on, worked very hard to try to figure out if there was some sort of program that would work for us moving forward. And when they realized that that wasn't the case, I think they took quick and decisive action. In particular, Rachel Beck has been the leader of this effort, the effort to get this letter done and the effort to get the letter signed and to get it to the governor, because I know that she and everybody at the Chamber of Commerce want to do what's in the best interest of our entire community, not just the small businesses that are out there, but our entire community. So thank you, Rachel, for all the work that you've put into that. And thank you for just being a tireless advocate for all of those small businesses in our community. Last thing, this is something I'm excited to talk a little bit about today, but just real quick. I've been talking over the last few weeks about our 2,850 employees and how spectacular they have been, and how it's been my honor to get to lead this organization. And I just want to give you one more example of this and how these employees answer the call every single day. So I want you all to help me embarrass Blake Nielsen. Blake, it was, most of you, I'm sure, don't know this, but Blake was supposed to be on a 2-week holiday right now. He was taking 2 weeks off to spend some time with his family going into the holiday season. He's been working tremendously throughout all this crisis, and well-deserved opportunity to take some time off. Well, we discovered last night that we had an issue with being able to operate our AV equipment today and to get this to get the moving forward. And we just had some issues with people and not being able to have all of our staff available to be able to make this happen today. And so Amy and Ryan and I were kind of talking about this on the phone last night, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We don't, Blake's on vacation. Some of the other people are having some health issues, and we may end up having to cancel the meeting. And Ryan says, well, you know what? Let me give Blake a call. Let me see if he would be willing to come in and help us out today. Ryan called him up last night, and before he could even get through the sentence of, hey man, we need you, Blake's like, I'll be right there. No questions asked, no extra special favors from Blake. Blake just said, I'll be right there. So I want everybody, I know there are only 3 or 4 people in the audience today, but I want to give a huge round of applause to Blake. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Blake.